Welcome back to 3 Up, 3 Downs National Central Division Breakdown. We have moved on from the Cubs, the Brewers, and the Cardinals, and we're hitting the bottom half of the division, and that starts with the Cincinnati Reds. Let's take a look at this roster that the Reds have for us this season, leading off with Jonathan India, followed by the always fun and entertaining Joey Votto, Tyler Stevenson, Jack Fairley, Will Myers, TJ Friedl, thank you, Kevin Newman, Will Benson, and Spencer Steer. In terms of the bench follows with Kurt Caselli, Luke Mel, Chad Pinder, and Stuart Fairchild. Alex, what do you got on this Reds underwhelming lineup?
Yeah, it's not a great lineup, but I don't think anybody is expecting it to be. Jonathan India coming off Rookie of the Year a couple years ago. Kind of had an underwhelming season last year. And I think a lot of people are wondering, what is Jonathan India at this point? I'm not really sure. He's a good player. He'll be in the MLB for a while, but how good is he? Joey Votto, you kind of know what you're going to get. You might get a little hot streak going because Joey Votto will do that. And then Tyler Stevenson, I actually really like from the catcher position. Really good bat, can run. When he's on, I wouldn't be surprised if he has a big breakout year, to be honest. He's right at the time in those prime years. And I'm kind of expecting him actually to have a really good year. Other than that, Jake Fraley, Will Myers, TJ Friedl, Will Benson, all these guys, there's nothing inspiring here, and there's no tools that I'm excited about, I don't think anyone's sniffing 25, 30 homers or 25, 30 stolen bases or 300, there's nothing I'm like, oh, they're good at this.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm missing something. We got a little taste of Will Benson for the Guardians last year. And he was solid, but he was solid, He was a solid replacement player.
He's unproven solid.
Yeah, so I don't really. It's tough to be excited about this lineup. It just is. I'm more excited about the A's lineup, and I think Tyler Stevenson and India would probably be the two of the better hitters on the A's.
Funny enough, I actually think this lineup kind of improved. I think I like the fact that they added Will Myers. It adds a little bit of power to it, but that's about it. Joey Votto in his 15th season, you would hope that the Reds would do him a little bit better and build a roster between them, but it just hasn't happened in his career, and it's unfortunate. But the Reds have been pretty content on the path they're heading, obviously, after trading ace pitcher Luis Castillo to the Mariners last deadline. They look to return an interesting rotation in Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, Graham Ashcraft, Luke Weaver, and Luis Cisa for that rotation. In terms of the bullpen, they've got Alexi Diaz in the closer role, followed by Lucas Sims and some other guys. What do you got on the rotation in the bullpen, Alex?
Yes, I actually think the rotation is super exciting, led by Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo.
Power pitcher.
Both, yeah, Hunter Green, if you haven't watched him, he was, I think, drafted as a two-way player, but quickly became just a pitcher. Just a power fastball and got other stuff. There was a reason he was the number 2 overall pick. Expect him to have a big year, and I would hope for some big strikeout numbers. He had a couple outings last year where you could really see the full potential, and now it's about getting to that consistency, showing it more often. Nick Lodolo, actually, I thought had a better season last year. Big lefty, got a lot of stuff, seemingly could control it a bit better. And I'm and it's not as much in terms of walks and stuff, but it's more in terms of pinpoint pitches. He wasn't making as many mistakes. So I'm very excited about these two. When we talk about the Reds, if you're a Reds fan, these two are worth watching every time they start. This is the future 1-2 punch of this rotation, and it's a really good one.
Young, very young.
It's young and just really good. Ashcraft and Weaver, I think, are solid. I don't see the upside in either of those two. Same kind of with Luis Cessa, not bad starters, but nothing too exciting. If they were on better teams, I might like them as a 4th or 5th starter, but they're not, and they're on the Reds. So see what you can get out of them, I don't know, but the top 2 is where it headlines. And then moving into the bullpen, Alexis Diaz had a really good year last year, showed big-time strikeout stuff. Lucas Sims, also another good one. And then they have TJ Antone, who has, they say it's a strain flexor tendon. I never know what to think about these in terms of what the recovery time is, what the implication is.
We are not doctors.
No, and Tommy John's much more straightforward, right? We kind of know what the risk is there and what the recovery time is. These ones can vary a little bit more, but he is also a good reliever. I wouldn't be surprised if these guys end up being a little trade bait. Alexis Diaz in particular, I think could bring a big haul because he has not much service time, which means he's going to be on a low deal.
Yep.
So if he has a big year and kind of establishes himself as like a power reliever, averaging like 1.5 strikeouts per inning, like a guy who can really get it done, I think they may be looking to move him at the deadline for a big haul.
Yeah.
So there's pieces here, but it's not good. I mean, like it's part, and it's not like this is just where the Reds are. This isn't a good team in this year. So you're looking for pieces, and I think, at least for me, when like the White Sox were rebuilding, I really enjoyed watching the best young pitchers start because you got a full game of that player. You know, it wasn't just like at bats every couple innings. It was like I get to watch this guy.
No, they're going
to
to let
go
him
to
pitch a little bit more of the pressure roles when it's maybe not as an important game for said organization. I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
If you had to pick an X factor for this Reds team, it's a tough guess. Who are you going with?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with another guy who we didn't actually mention. We're missing some of the injured players in our first breakdown of the lineup because we're kind of talking about opening day. We go Nick Senzel. He was the second overall pick in 2016, so it's been a while, and he's shown flashes at the major league level that he can hit for power, he can run the base as well. He's a guy who can kind of do everything, and that's why he was like prospects drafted there can usually have all these tools. Whether they put it together or not is a different question. He's coming off toe surgery that he had in November, so we'll see if he starts the season. I would expect him to, or at least close to the start of the year. But I think he's, again, like you're looking for future pieces, right? And he's a guy who's 27. If he develops here, you could be looking at him in that core with India, Tyler Stevenson, and some of these prospects that will be coming up.
Absolutely. I like that pick. We apologize. The injured list is not the top priority, but when you got guys like Nick on there, Nick Senzel, it may be worth covering. Who is my pick to click? My pick to click is, what is this return going to be at the deadline? Who's going to be gone? Who are the pieces going to be moved? Does anyone bring any serious value? What can the the Reds cook up in the trade deadline? Because I don't expect much from this roster. What do you think? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think this team. I like it. I like it. I mean, I think that's kind of what you're looking for right now.
It's a tough pick to pick someone individual. So I'm going to pick a group effort of what can you receive at the deadline. Predictions. Where do we got them?
I have them finishing last in the Central, and I will throw in an added prediction just for fun. I didn't want it to be my X factor, but I guess it could have been. But added prediction: Lodolo and Hunter Green are one of the best 1-2 punches of baseball, and they finished last in the division.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, I agree with you. I do see this team finishing 5th in the Central, but I kind of like a little pick to watch between the 1-2 punch of Green and Lodolo. We'll see what happens with the Cincinnati Reds. Reds fans, if you feel like we've missed stuff or just didn't cover enough Reds baseball, feel free to hop in the comments. Give us your thoughts. Go check out all our Star 6 Media content. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. We appreciate it all. We are moving on to our final team in the NL Central, the Pittsburgh Pirates.